Hi, today I want to talk to you about a little DIY project that I have. You can see I have quite a mess here. Now, here I have a regular light switch, and I'm going to tell you what this is for in a little bit. I have a regular light switch, I drilled a hole through it. I put a cable on it and a wire nut. Now, I will be holding that down on the inside. The inside can have holes drilled on the back, screwed onto a wall, or it can be taped onto a wall. Now the reason I did this is because I want to be able to turn this switch off and on while it's closed. So you push up, there you go, that's on. Now remember, this will be taped down or glued down, probably using some of these. These are the things that come with these hooks. You can buy these separately. And you're probably going, why are you even doing this? That's down and the power's off. Well, the reason I'm doing this, and here's everything I used. Imperial butter bowl. And you're going, well, you use those a lot. That's because we have a lot of them. And what I wanted to do is make something I can keep in the shower that I don't have to worry about getting wet, so I can turn the shower off and on to a point. And you'll understand when I get to talk about something else. If you watch my videos, you know we have two water pumps. One is a 12-volt pump, submersible, that we will be throwing in the river once we move over to our property, that we finally got paid off. And the other is a small 350 watt, 115, 120 electric pump. Now, if I'm using that pump, this would be outside the shower on the wall. It would still have the lid on it. And that way I could turn the power off and on. This will be the power to my pump. And there's a reason I need the power to be able to be turned off and on. And like I say, none of this is taped down yet. I was just showing you how I did this. I drilled a hole through the light switch right here. Just a small hole, just big enough for this wire here. And it's really hard to get in there with one hand. There we go. Now what I may do is I may just bend this edge up a little bit once everything's done and ready to go. And you're going, well, why'd you do this? Why'd you make this? And let me get that. There we go. Well, I made this because we are getting something else in the mail. We have been buying a lot of things recently, and yeah, we are poor. I mean, believe it or not, we're poor. We have bought the fridge, the deep freeze. I mean, we're poor. I mean, take a look at my shoes here. This one's really bad. In fact, and those are my shoes. And you're probably going, why are you buying stuff? If you need shoes, you need clothes. Well, here's the thing. Once we get on our property, hopefully it's later than sooner, because, you know, if Joe Biden takes the election and he does half the stuff he says he's going to do, our rent is going to skyrocket because their taxes are going to skyrocket, the owner. So we may have to leave sooner than later, and we may end up on our property. So we're trying to do everything we can do to get ready for that. Now, why I made this switch, like I said, I want to be able to turn off my water pumps. Now, here I just have a clamp. Now, the reason I have this clamp is I'm going to be hooking this up to a battery probably next week. This whole setup next week, to show you exactly what I'm talking about. But I can put the faceplate on this. The wire can slide in. I can turn this switch off and on. Once again, even if it's 110, 115, 120 power, I can hook this up like this. I can bolt this to the wall outside the shower. And when I want to turn the shower off, I just reach out there and push up on the bottom here. And when I want to turn it on, I just pull down. Okay, on is up, sorry. Off is down. Sorry about that. But I made this so I could keep it in the shower with me. And like I say, I'm going to be sticking it together with these. Once the lid is on this and everything's together, even if water gets in here, I have some water holes drilled in the bottom. And to get this to work on a water pump, all I have to do is unscrew this right here, this light switch, and screw the positive wire to my pump down here. And then the top part goes to the battery. So when this is off, the power to the pump will be shut off. Now here's what I use for the wire. Just a metal clothes hanger. So it's real simple to make one of these. You just get your light switch, drill a hole in it, put it in a box, put the box in a container, tape, glue it down, however you need to keep it down is fine. You could probably put some screws in there, nuts and bolts if you need to keep that in place. But I needed a switch. And here's why. What we're waiting on now is one of these. This is a Ridgyard 6-liter portable propane hot water heater. Now, you are never supposed to use these in the house unless you have extremely good ventilation. Always, if you do, have a carbon monoxide detector. But it's still, you have to understand something. The heat coming out of the top of this thing is extremely hot. This has an open flame in it. We are waiting on this now. It is, FedEx has it right now. So it should be here sometime next week. But the way these work is when the water starts to run through it, it turns on. When the water stops, it shuts off. So, since I have two water pumps, neither one shut off by themselves, I had to make something that I could set either in the shower or next to the shower where I could turn the water off and on. So when I turn that switch on over there, it will send water through this unit and this unit will kick on. When I turn the switch off, then it'll turn this unit off. And like I said, if you have a water pump that has a pressure tank and a switch on it, you won't run into this problem. But let's say, even if you have a water pump with a switch and everything else, and and you're going to get one of these, do you have to wire it up for electricity? No. These come with batteries to start the igniter inside. Now the only reason I'm making that over there is because I can hook that up to my water pump to shut down my pump. When my pump shuts down, this will shut off. This was the easiest thing I could think of to hook up one of these when you have basically nothing. It's something like this. In fact, we have a shower tent that we can shower in. And I can put that outside, that hot water heater outside on a pole, throw the submersible in the river. Yeah, I know river water, gross. But, if you need a shower, you need a shower. And we would prefer to have it at least warm because that river water is going to be cold. And with the hot water heater, the pump is going to run constantly, running water through that hot water heater. Now, some of these come with an on and off switch on the shower head. So if you shut it off, that shuts off the water and, it backs it up. But like I said, that's if you have a pressure tank. We don't have a pressure tank. So us shutting the water off on the shower head would be pointless, because our pump would still be running and working and trying to force water through. That's why I made this, or I'm making this. It's like I said, it's not done yet. I have to get some more of these. I haven't put everything together because well, I have to hook the water pump up to it. Right here. The water pump will hook up right there, the positive side to the water pump. There's a positive side, power going out. And here's a clamp to hook up to a battery right now. I will have this hopefully completed before our pump comes in. Not pump, excuse me, our hot water heater. But see, if you have a pump like the ones we have and you're off grid, you have to have a way to turn that water off and on. Especially if you are using one of those cheap, I mean, it was cheap dirt cheap, and it was $62 for that with free shipping. So they're not the best, but you want to be able to turn your water off. If you have a pump without a tank or a timer or a switch on it or anything like that. And this is the easiest way. Even if I had to use our 110, 115, 120 pump, whatever it is, our small 350 watt pump, our jet pump, which I've done a video on that, I could set this right outside the shower, reach outside the shower, and turn it off. Just grab here and it's off. Pull down, it's off. Push up, it's on. Pull down, it's off. Push up, it's on. So, even if I was using 110 power, 120, whatever, I could have this right outside the shower. And I could just reach out there and turn this off and on as needed. Now, if you're going to make something like this, make sure you have your hole centered the best you can. Make sure you use wire stiff enough. I did use clothes hanger here. I can actually drill this to a wall, and I would not have to worry about water in here, because even if water got in, it would come out the holes in the bottom. But to be on the safe side, of course, I would have the plate right here on top, like you would any electrical outlet. It's really hard to do with one hand here. It just looks a whole lot better with the plate on it. And yeah, it's really hard to do with one hand, considering I can't even see the hole in there right now. Oh, there it is. And there you go. There's your switch to shut your pump off and on if you need to shut your pump off and on. Now this I can put in the shower itself, especially if I'm using the DC pump. Now if I'm using the AC pump, I would have it outside the shower where I could just reach out and hit that right there. Off and on. That's all you need. On in this case will be up, and I can reverse this. So on would be down, off would be up. It doesn't matter. If the lid's on it, all I have to do is reach out there, grab this, and pull down. And once again, this will be taped or glued or super glued, whatever. However I feel like putting it down. I'll probably use some of these. They're pretty cheap and they hold it pretty well. They go to these hook things. But that's how you make a DIY off and on switch. It's waterproof if you're using DC current. Now, would this be waterproof on AC current? Yes. Would I attempt to use this with AC current in the shower? No. DC is one thing, AC is another. If we had to use our AC pump, I could still run the wires the same way, but I would not want to keep this in the shower with me itself. Now, like I said, DC is fine, but I would not want to have AC current in the shower with me. So, anyway, if you wanted to make this completely waterproof to where you could use AC current, you could take the lid and you could seal that completely off on the top, the sides, and you know, even where your wire's going through, that water's not going to jump up. You just have to have this low enough the water's not going to jump up in there, or high enough to where you don't have to worry about water. So, I mean, yeah, you could use it on AC if in the shower if you were careful with it and you know, be smart about it. But anyway, like I said, we are waiting on this. And I built that switch specifically to hook up to my water pump that will be hooked up to this unit. Anyway, that's a DIY switch for, you know, your unit here. The unit itself, like I said, does not take power. It runs off propane. It has two double D batteries, not double D, but two D size batteries. You know, double D, geez. It takes 2D batteries. But if you're off grid and you're on a small water pump, turning the pump off will shut this down. And you don't want to have to get out of the shower just to go 25, 35, 40, 50 feet to unhook your water pump. And even if, you know, you're done with your shower, even if your battery is right next to you, that pump is still going to be running, you know, until you unhook it and unplug it. You don't want to do that. When you shut that pump off, you want it to stay off. Hence the switch. You can turn that pump off and on as needed. You don't have to go outside to do it, unless you're already outside. Then, you know, if you're showering outside, hopefully you're in the woods or somewhere away from people, but, you know, whatever. And like I said, this is a ridge yard. I will be doing a video on this when it comes in. It will be next week, hopefully. It's coming FedEx. And like I said, sometimes these shower heads have a switch on it, on and off, to cut the water. And if the water cuts, it cuts off the unit, but it doesn't cut off your pump. And that could be a problem if you have a 12-volt pump. Anyway, that's it. I'm fixing to go. Once again, this is the switch. It's real easy to make. I just drilled a hole through the switch, used a metal clothes hanger, and, you know, pretty much it's ready for the wiring. I already wired the positive for the battery, because I will be hooking it up to a battery once our hot water heater comes in. And you can use a wire nut on the bottom. You can use anything you want on the bottom, really. You know, just as long as you take the edges off or any sharp corners. Because I broke these off with a pair of pliers, and it's pretty pointy right there. So, anyway, that's it. I'm fixing to go. It didn't take me long to do this. Took like 10 minutes to do this switch. So, that's it. I'm fixing to go. Everyone have a good day. Bye.